Here's Benji. He looks like a bat with his ears sticking up.
At a rate of, probably in the order of like 25 times a second, and it gives you the reflected image, and you can, based on what the reflections look like, you can see what you've got.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The radar.
Is it as? Am I correct that it tells you the densities of changing in densities of the soil?
Not just densities, but it's looking for an electrical contrast.
Oh yeah, I remember something about that.
In the absence of water or clay, number one is water. Water changes are where you get the most reflection. So going from unsaturated to saturated conditions, if you have an excavation that's recent, then something that's less dense will be more porous and the water will get in there more, so you'll see it. Sometimes you can see reflections at lithologic changes. So in other words, if you have like a clay lens that goes all the way across, and that's disrupted, you know that there's been an excavation there. In the absence of everything else, yes, density makes a difference, primarily because you're getting rid of the water spaces, the water.
Okay.
Decreasing the porosity. So this thing is completely self-sufficient. I've got the battery in my back pocket.
Why'd you drop it?
This is my daughter. And instead of eating Dunkin' Donuts, they're eating candy.
Because we don't have breakfast.
It's a good thing I didn't stop at Auburndale Dunkin' Donuts, but maybe I should have, because then I would realize I didn't have my wallet. I've gone back for it.
I'll run out and get the donuts or whatever you want.
We've got 2 adults and 2 children out here now. A reporter and one fellow who's just left. We're marking out the grid here, every 5-foot square. I'm sorry, it'd be more fun to do what?
I said it would be more fun to get a trowel and just dig.
Yeah.
Or a fork to probe.
Yeah.
I know it's not legal. All kinds of rules.
At Newman Cemetery, they use this great big tall thing, and they just it pounds itself into the ground,
Uh-huh.
and they can find a casket.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Now how about if that casket is rotted enough that it
Then
gives
you
way?
get my belly button.
Yeah. That would be my fear.
Oh dear.
Bella, you want to reel up the tape, please? You peel away from the surface down, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and see if there's a pattern. And the one 17th century cemetery I did in Newton, Mass, there really wasn't much of a pattern. I mean, it was kind of tough to see, but they actually have similar soil, like a sandy, silty clay. So, but I guess conditions could change also over time, the amount of water in the ground, etc. So anyway, the reason why I have the yellow and the purple and the yellow is I'm going to be doing a high density of lines. This is just the grid. This helps me keep the cart focused on where I need to be. And if my lines are every 1.25 feet, I'll do a line down the yellow flags, 1/4 of the way between the yellow and the purple, halfway between the yellow and the purple, 3/4 of the way, then on the purple line. So it's helped me keep straight. There's no bathroom, you have to pee in the woods. That's why I asked you to please pee in the, at Dunkin' Donuts. Okay? So...
Behind the wood pile?
Yeah, if you go behind the wood pile, there's nobody else behind you there.
So the yellow and purple is really just so you don't get the lines mixed up.
Exactly.
Got
My
it.
navigation.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise it'd just be a forest of yellow.
Tashi, behind this wood pile. so no one will look.
They'd rather float their teeth.
Well, that's why I suggested like Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
So, you know,
This is a magnometer. Is that how you pronounced it?
magnet, like a magnet,
Mm-hmm.
tometer. T-O.
Magnetometer.
Magnetometer.
Okay, and we're going to be looking for anomalies in the minerals.
You get another person. Is that the owner?
Looking for anomalies in the minerals that have been disturbed after being aligned by the Earth's magnetic field. Okay. And here we're just walking with the magnetron. Is that what it was? And all of this information, if I haven't mentioned it, will be taken back to the office and the numbers crunched in a computer. A lot of the buildings have small signs on them telling when they were built. This is the town of North Kingstown, 1807. Samuel Dyer, 1813. Captain Vincent Gardiner, 1840. Now here's a wise guy. Josiah Hazard Croker, 1966. In town Kingstown we find a monument dedicated to the local men who died in World War I. And on it, to Aylesworth, spelled without an E. First name Charles and Harold. What are you doing? Hey, look at you. Whoop! Don't fall off. Nah. Today we'll be taking the ferry over to Orient Point on Long Island. Rainy, cold day, which as you can see is capable of carrying semi-trucks. The water is said to be rough, but this is a larger ferry, so it would be considered more moderate as far as the ride is concerned. It's a short ride, so we have only a lounge, small restaurant, and of course a bar. The way dogs are allowed in this cabin. They're not as persnickety as the other ferries I've been on, but only in this one room. Well, we survived, and we're on the far end of Long Island, a place called Orient Point. I think they even put a county park there. We're in Flanders, New York, and a long time ago a guy had a poultry farm. He sold mostly ducks, and he wanted to increase his sales, so he figured he needed to have an attention getter. So he built this shop. I guess it worked because it's still here, but it's being used as a tourist trap now. The St. James General Store since 1857. Been sitting here selling hardware or general goods.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I guess I just made it, huh?
Yeah.
Do you have any Whorehound candy?
Let's see. We don't have the bags.
Probably.
You don't find it too often anymore.